but hey, I'm going to do what I have to do to get my students here so that we can teach them, and Mr. Mize will teach them, and we have the same great person teaching us. So we are excited that the students are here. Smaller groups are harder to teach to in Spanish, but we can individualize that. So I don't really have anything else to add, but yeah, the disruptions maybe, and just to get that communication to these little freshmen, because I have a lot of freshmen, and they're like, oh, what? And like all the rest of us professionals, we tell them over and over and over again, and it's just not sinking in. So we just got to get that hammered out, because here's what we can use. You use Power. Like I said, yes, I'm not one freshman teacher that uses Google Classroom, but if you go to Power School Learning, it's going to send you to Google Classroom. So we give them 15 different ways to find the information, but it's still missing on some of it.
Any freshman teachers out there that have solved that problem? Okay, just wondering.
What do I get if I solve the problem?
I don't know.
Thanks!
Probably a contract to travel the world.
What? I'm not as it is. Okay, so I got volunteered by the CTE group. The issue with CTE is we're really hands-on. So non-contact days are a big struggle. But the things that we see that are good are students are coming prepared with devices. At least other than the first day, I noticed kids are realizing, okay, we need to have a computer. Part of the first day was the struggle with getting Chromebooks. Kids were still getting their Chromebooks, and so that was a struggle. We really do like more one-on-one time with students. The thing that we're running into is that some of the, like for example, it's a struggle for some of his construction jobs that he doesn't have enough hands. And so like some days we have 2 kids, although they're supposed to be all part of the same class. Like we have 2 kids one day and 6 kids the next day, and get through the material really quick with we have 2 kids. But a ton of kids is not as easy. And like for me, one day I got 2 kids. It's my foster son and his best buddy, and they think it's joke time the whole time, and they go, oh, half the class is doing this, or half the class is doing that, or the whole class. But that's a struggle.
Okay, so hang on. Has anybody solved that lopsided piece where they're like, hey, this is working when I have lopsided classes?
Some of us in the lab department have flips, so where we, and I don't know how this works, but there's video instruction at home, and they're supposed to come to class, having watched that part, and in class, they do the work part. And so that way, as long as it takes them to get through that, they can possibly need to go through it.
But the key thing is I really like that, but it's like there's like not to have a bad attitude, but it's like they're supposed to, but they don't always.
Well, right, but these are all the things like we're trying.
No, yeah, it's an awesome idea. It's a good thing. What is working is all from non-contact. We've had a lot of kids think it's just a day off, to be blunt. I mean, some teachers do, I've heard some of the teachers are actually making their kids log on and watch a lecture, which I think is good. But like, for example, we have a senior at home, and I know he's not waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning, even if we wait to try to wake him up. But, and we scroll up.
Just tips and tricks.
What? Tips and tricks. I don't remember if we had any really good tips and tricks from our group. But yeah, that's what I got.
So for science, we're really enjoying the smaller groups. A lot of people have been having an easier time learning names. Not me, but other people. Kids are social distancing well, we've found in our classrooms. And in class, they seem to be working during class time. A lot of us are doing that flipped classroom idea. So we're doing a little bit of like explanation at the beginning of class and then having them work on whatever the assignment is during class. So, and we usually are picking ones that we know they're gonna struggle with. So then we can have more one-on-one time. And that seems to be working the 3 days that we've had them so far. The smaller numbers seem to help with students concentrating more. Like we seem to have more one-on-one, like they're not getting distracted as easily by their friends. Working well on non-contact days, we said we have, in the higher classes, like AP Chem and Physics, they've been doing it every day, so kids will call in, and that seems to be doing really well. Now, those classes are very small, so they have smaller numbers, but again, that's working really well. And then we just honestly had some questions. I don't know about this, but
What are they?
the questions are, can we require students to join our class during class time on non-contact days? I got a thumbs up, guys. Okay, and then somewhere it says something about you have to have contact with your kids on non-contact days. So we were wondering, I don't know where it says that, but someone read it somewhere in one of the things. It'll be real clear. Smart restart, thank you. So we're wondering, is them doing assignments counted towards having a contact with them? So, okay. And then the not working well on non-contact days, again, like everyone else, we're wondering how to engage them while they're at home. And then realizing that they are at home, but we are still working. So we have kids in the classroom, even though they're at home. So we get a lot of questions while they're at home, and then they expect us to respond to them quickly while we maybe won't be able to for a couple hours. So that's kind of been something we've been running into. And then we also were talking about, with those groups that we're having kids maybe call into or be a part of while at home, then having to check the chats while we're teaching kids in class and how that is a struggle. So, not working well on non-contact days. Sorry, tech, we said computer issues. But it's really nice to have all the kids having computers. And when I say, okay, open your computers to Power School Learning, and they, for the most part, do. And then I just send a couple down to log into the Wi-Fi, but it's okay, we're getting better. We wish we could do group work. Mostly that's just bumming us out because science and group work. So, that was the first day of Friday support. We felt like it was helpful for the EL students that we had come in, so we could get a little bit more one-on-one time with them, a little more clarification, help the new students who get caught up. So I had a new student who came today, and she kind of got the run around and kept caught up on everything. And then we noticed that the kids who chose to come to get extra help did great, but it was kind of a struggle to get the kids who were supposed to come to even really show up in a lot of ways. And then it was kind of pulling teeth, like always, to get them to do some stuff. There you go.
So for math, math is basically the same thing as science. So what Caitlin said is what I completely understand. Maddie didn't write anything that works well for contact days, so apparently nothing is going well. Good job. Most of us have flipped our classrooms or some variation of that. And it seems to be going fairly well on contact days. The non-contact days are sort of 50-50. Some of them are working okay and some of them are not. We have a couple things that we're struggling with. We feel like we're spending a lot of time dealing with tech issues, with the way that it's gonna go. But some of us ran into some problems where we needed tech issues solved, and there wasn't anybody in the tech office. So we kind of asked if we had tech available all the time. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but we can, for now at least, go we're getting rolling with it.
So there are a lot of rules with tech right now, which are good, but suck.
Yeah. It's just hard to send somebody down to tech during the afternoon meeting. Like, get it fixed. But that's the thing. And then we're having lots of emails come in, like Kevin said, throughout the day, and responding to that all the time. So we sort of feel like if we have to start going with tech and going with staffing, that we're going to become starting. But maybe some of those emails will get themselves settled out this time. We did have a question about, does it count to put our weekly agenda up on Power School Learning, or does it have to be emailed?
I'll turn that over to you folks who were part of that committee. The instruction committee.
We kind of thought if the parents have access now to the PSL and we're putting it on them for a week, isn't that technically telling the parents? I don't know.
I think part of what our goal is, we have parent involvement, and we got to make it as easy as possible and as transparent as possible if we expect parents to support us. So I think that email, I mean, it takes another 5 minutes to copy it into an email, just send it out, because that's how you're going to get that parent support.
I have a high school student. I got the emails. I got a message that I had stuff in PSL to look at and couldn't get into it. And I'm a high school employee. So emails would be great.
You're doing the emails. Yep, check. Otherwise, we have science.
About the emails, we were wondering if there was like a way for Fridays for us to take like a snapshot of grades, and then we could use that. Because we noticed like that different people have different cutoff days for when they require kids to come in. So if your cutoff day is Thursday, or if your cutoff day is Wednesday, then we're having a lot of emailing of parents back and forth.
Can we please just use the eligibility
Right, that's what we were
report
wondering.
for Ds and Fs for who has to show up on Friday?
And then you can send the extras if you need it. We had one person had to spend 2 days basically. 2 weeks.
Do it on Wednesday and then Thursday.
So tell,
Would there be an administrative report run with Ds and Fs?
and then you want that report?
No, that's how parents should be contacted if they have to go to school. So they know by Wednesday at 9, 10, 11 a.m. that their student is required on Friday.
There should be a way to also have that send out a robocall then
Amen, sister.
that says, your child is required to come in on Friday.
Yeah.
Like that?
I think we can make that work. I don't do that part, the robocalling, so.
And then we'll like tell them, because they might get it, and then they're only doing it for one class, and they think they're going to do it the whole time. How do they know which class is in?
You could say, please check our school grades for D's and F's hours 2 to 10.
Said that exact thing.
I wonder if we could do that on.
We'll look into it, and if we can make that work, that'll be cool.
All right, counselors and social workers met. Pretty much everything's been said, so I'm going to go through this really fast.
Well, you don't have to repeat.
Um,
Highlight the stuff that has to go.
The big thing for us is the students are emailing us a lot more and contacting us virtually, which makes it easier to talk to students on their non-contact days. we're gonna be trying to do a lot of team calls, so we're not pulling them out. Flip side of that is the con of it's really limiting when you might only see a kid. We don't want to pull them from your classes, but we want to talk to them face to face, and they might not always have a ride or a way to get to us. So trying to do that balance of we don't want them out of your classes, but we still want to talk to them. So,
Advisory.
yep, we're trying to balance all of that. Sometimes we've got, 200 kids to see, and advisory is not going to be enough time to do that. So, but we're doing virtual. We're doing a lot that we can, not during your hours. So we are aware of that. The con to the non-contact days that we found was kids can hide if they don't want to ask for help. And that's a big struggle for us, is if they aren't coming and they don't want to get help, they just don't have to answer their emails. They don't have to pick up the phone. And so we're trying to find how to get in touch with those kids who don't want to be found necessarily. The first Friday, we found a lot of kids seeking out help. I had a lot of parents respond really positively to having this day available because it put them at ease that their kid was going to get more support. And so it overall was really received well by the parents of the new students I talked to. The early out schedule made it really confusing for a lot of the new kids. So that's something we gotta work on. Okay, so that's a big thing, but with a normal Friday, we're hoping that we'll just see a lot more kids who need help.
Go ahead.
I have a question, Eric.
Yeah.
So just thinking about these Fridays, next Friday's A-Day, and then the following Friday we do that testing, right?
Yeah.
And so we have a normal Friday, normal intervention Friday, the 25th, right?
Yep.
And then we'd be back to the early out on October 2nd.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's the state. I have no say in it. I just have to do it.
Okay.
So,
Oh, and then the kids will have to have a device that day, and what if they don't? We'll figure that out.
yeah. Right now, my goal is just to get the system up and running so I can, train everybody on it. So, once that's done, we'll go from there.
I have a question about if they're supposed to be here on Friday. I conversated with a couple of kids that didn't do anything all week, so I told them they needed to come on Friday, that they didn't show up. Or we have kids that missed today that didn't show up on Friday to pick up the day. Is there consequences?
Okay, so here's where we're gonna start. So you had a kid who missed today. Make a phone call home. Hey, they missed Friday. So we're gonna say, kid forgot, kid was sick. We're gonna give them the benefit of the doubt the first time. And not go consequence route. If it becomes a habitual deal, then that's when you talk to your APs and your counselors, and we'll try and work on it from there.
Can't really become a habit if we only do it once a month.
True.
So for today, we were just supposed to mark them as.
Correct. If they were supposed to be here and they weren't, they'll be marked absent. So their parents get the annoying call that said, hey, your kid was marked absent. So Angie was marking kids parent excused if they were calling in for whatever reason. So maybe you saw that on some of your students.
What happens if students go on Monday and then want to come to Friday, and you have to see if it's great, but they come Friday, is that no by Monday?
It does not, okay, so I don't know if you heard Mark's question. He said, a kid was absent Monday, but they came Friday. Does that nullify their absence? No, it does not. We have to keep the absences marked as such. I mean, you'll note it in your own self or your own way, like, hey, that kid came, so it does not, we did not take an absence off. You can't make it up. We gotta keep track of that for the state, and we also need to keep track of that for our own, legal pieces if they were off. doing something on Monday that they weren't supposed to, and we have them marked here. That's
No bueno.
no bueno.
All right, I'm not gonna repeat everything that everybody already said. The one thing that's gonna be difficult for us is when we're going yellow on this restart. We have to limit the amount of objects that they can use and that are available. So we're gonna have to be creative with how we're going to teach certain sports or activities with limited amount of items that they can manipulate, or if you have somebody that has to spot someone in weightlifting, but they want them to be distance, that's an oxymoron. Also, the Friday thing, we had some kids that just kind of magically appeared in the gym. That's one thing that was a little different for us, but we'll just lock the doors and not let them in next time. The other thing that I haven't heard anybody say was we were able to communicate better with some of the students, and some of the things that I've heard from multiple kids were that their day went smoother because they didn't have to worry about some of the people they didn't get along with on the other side of the alphabet. And so they enjoy school more. And that's from the ones that I got to hang out with all the time over there. So it's really good that they get to have actually a good time. Some of the students were actually ahead and they like it a lot better. Another thing that was a little tough was for PE, we're not letting them dress out because we would have to have them go in segmented times, and by the time everybody got dressed out, the class would be over. So that makes it a little bit difficult, but we just try to talk to the students and kind of talk to them on a one-on-one level and let them know that, hey, this is new for us too, and we're trying. And the more that we do that, the better they react to us and the smoother it goes. So our tip or trick was just be honest with them and say, hey, we don't know either, but we're trying. So that's really all we had. Oh, and tech's been awesome for us, so we appreciate everything you do for us.
All right, so over to social studies, some of the things we said that were working well for contact days, we put that kids seem to be happy in school, and because of that, just happy to be back in general. Classroom management wasn't a problem. Seemed it was easier to teach build well. One of the things we put working well for non-contact days was front-loading everything on Power School Learning, so kids are ready for the week. Something we put, things not working well for non-contact days, obviously kids not doing work, and they kind of mentioned the emails, kids expecting us quick, not really getting them. First Friday, one of our people in our department gave a quiz, and everyone except 8 people showed up. So she scheduled that by appointment, and it went pretty well. That's about all we got really, I guess, that hasn't been mentioned.
Sweet. Okay, so is there anything else that people have questions about or need to get off your chest? I mean, it's that time of the day where we're like, who's gonna ask this question on a Friday afternoon?
No questions.
Yeah.
A student who went to a track meet yesterday, came in today, and 3 of the teachers weren't there. They asked me what they came out of the mountain. What do they do? They came to make up for not being here earlier. They were in a track meet at 4 a.m. got back after 6 p.m.
So they were gone yesterday. They came to make up the day and they couldn't find their teacher. I would start with calling the office, and the office can page that teacher. Hey, Arnie Lunsman, will you please dial 1211? Arnie's going to dial 1211. Hey, you have a student here. And then that student, where are you? Where can the student find you? And then we'll go from there.
What the students did is they hung out right by their office, by their classroom, for waiting for them to come and then come back, time to meet back.
So that might be some teaching we have to do for our kids too, is, hey, I'm planning to be here on Friday. So, before they go. So we all know, because I know you guys are busy and have lots of things going. Go ahead, Kim.
So something someone recommended was, I know that Michelle said she's been doing this. She schedules the time. She tells them she's available 4th and 7th hour for questions. So that way she's not getting chats in between when she's instructing and stuff like that. So she basically says, I'm here 4th and 7th for questions for off days for the kids that need
Good idea.
My question is for Eric. Because the math test takes so long, can you do the survey version and say we did it?
Nope. District office said no,
Will we know if we have a student in quarantine? Because I
Take the short version of the math test that like in district kids take.
So we're still working out the kinks on that, because you might know that before I do if you're emailing. So we've tried to start a document that keeps track of kids who've called in to say they're on quarantine. And then Karen and Allison have been amazing about calling those kids to make sure they have what they need. I think where we have a little bit failed is to email all their teachers to let you know. I mean, so we will try to be better at that next week. If you see lots of N's in their attendance, I don't know if you can see that, maybe you can. Okay, if you see N's, likely that is what is happening.
So there's no way to put a Q in there, so we just automatically don't ask stupid questions? Like if you would tell us exactly, I know why you're not here.
I don't think that we can do that legally.
Even though it's attendance and nobody sees it but employees?
Yes. There are lots of weird rules that I'm learning about. In all of this, there's lots of law things, so we have to be careful how we do it. Like, I shouldn't even tell you what I just told you, I think, legally.
If you just put an M.
We're gonna change the N today.
Just use the M.
Well, the M would be that they're out medical.
Quarantining would be medical reason, wouldn't it?
But if you're looking at a screen that has 12 N's, I think you can figure it out.
Yeah, it does. Click on it, it tells you the reason.
Yeah, we might have to change that. There are just, like, honestly, there's a line, and I will just tell you, like, there's a line in this document that we got from the state, and it says something like, in a pandemic, for student safety, FERPA goes out the window as long as you don't identify the student directly or indirectly. No, that was to us as administrators. So just so you know, that's the kind of stuff that the whole state is trying to navigate. Like, I mean, it is ridiculous. Like, I understand that we have all of these laws to protect people's privacy and confidentiality, which are great, but in this instance, they're really making this a difficult.
So we have to just use metaphors then.
Correct. We're finding that we can tell you that you will have a student who will be out for an extended period of time. Wink, wink. And then I can identify the student to you. But I can't identify the student to you by telling you that they're...
Just to begin the sentence with hypothetically speaking.
So just so you know, like, those are the things, like, when we're sitting in a stupid state call, that's what they're telling us, and it's really difficult, so we're trying to maneuver it the best we can. So well, yes, it would be very easy to say, C, you're out because you have COVID, or Q, you're out because you're quarantining.
So we just need a code phrase, and then we all know that code phrase.
Right. Okay, well, somebody else needs to come up with that, because I can't. So anyway, just so you know, those are the lovely pieces that are coming from the state courts.
Are traveling teachers, like, knowing that somebody in the previous classroom that's not my classroom had it, or is that, do they have to know?
Technically, we can't tell you, so here's how it's supposed to work, and in reality it doesn't work this way, but here's how it's supposed to work. We're supposed to come and tell you that, hey, in your third period, you may have had somebody who tested positive. We can't identify that person. We're supposed to wait for the district health to call you and tell you the name of that student. I'm violating FERPA if I tell you that. So, but the health unit is like a couple days behind. So, I mean, there's all these pieces. So no, but can you say, hey, clean the desk down a little bit more? Yeah. Thankfully, with the every other, that's helping because that student, I mean, hasn't been here for a day, most likely. So, I don't know. I wish I had the answers. I don't. It's all new to us too. It's crazy. Yeah.
I love having staffing at the end of the week and not interrupting my teaching brain throughout the week. What do you think the chances of having an early out every Friday are, moving all of our staffing to the end of the week?
I don't know, but I can ask.
You should.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't hear that.
Okay. Have an excellent 3-day weekend. At least turn your phones and school email off for one whole day. That's a direct order. I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you for all your input. You guys are doing awesome.
I'm sorry, what?